Hello, welcome to our school. Today we're going to look at DNA and its role in cloning and in evolution. So that begs some questions, doesn't it? What is evolution? What is cloning? And what is DNA? Well, to answer that question I'll need a big room, some willing volunteers and a piece of string. I have my big room, I have my willing volunteers, and I have my piece of string. Now, you are made of trillions of cells, trillions. And in most of these cells is 2 meters of this molecule called DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Small sections of DNA are called genes, and genes give us our characteristics. More of that later. But if you've got such a gigantic molecule in most of your cells, and cells are so tiny, how do we get it in? Well, the answer is that it coils, and DNA coils, and then it supercoils, and then the supercoils coil until they form these much smaller bodies called chromosomes. Okay, we said we would talk about genes and how they affect characteristics. So what do we mean by characteristics? Well, characteristics are who we are, who you are, who they are. They control our eye colour, they control our hair colour, they control the shape of our cheekbones, they control the colour of our skin, they control the size of our feet, they control how tall we are, they control the shape of our ears, they even control what sex we are, whether you're male or female. And the reason why there's so much variation in the way people look is because people get a mixture of genes. They get half their genes from dad and half their genes from mum. And these genes come together and form an embryo, and a baby is born with a mixture of the genes from mum and dad. And that is why we see such wonderful variation in all the people we've just seen. Have a little think about yourself. Have you got your mum's eyes? Are you as tall as your dad? You will have the variation of the genes from mum and dad together. Right, we talked about there being mum's genes and dad's genes coming together and creating variation. But what if I was to take a cell from the follicle of a hair, which already had all the genes in it, then take those genes and put them inside an empty human egg cell and grow that cell in a womb, and then that cell would turn into an embryo, that embryo would become a baby. Well, what would that baby look like after 15 years? An absolute clone, genetically identical in every way. Same height, same hair, same eyes, same body shape, same size feet, identical in every way because there's been no mixture of genes. The genes are identical, we have a clone. So we've looked at variation, we've looked at DNA's role in cloning. So what is DNA's role in evolution? Well, to understand that, we need to go into the very small world of bacteria. Right, we're going to look at evolution in bacteria. So the first thing I need is a bacterial cell. You'll notice that it's a chest table like you'll see at your school, but we're going to pretend this is a bacteria. And you'll also see that inside the bacteria is a chromosome that has the bacteria's genes. Now I'll tell you, as you know with your genes and your characteristics, these genes give the bacteria characteristics. In this case, particularly nasty bacteria or pathogen, and one of the genes in this chromosome would make a poison, make a toxin that would make you very ill if it got inside you. Now what this bacteria does is it makes a perfect copy of itself, genetically identical in every way. 1 becomes 2. So now we have 2 cells. They are absolute genetic clones of each other. Every gene exactly the same. And now we have 2 cells. 2 can become 4. So you can see the genes are replicating each time. We are getting more and more cells, but the genes are exactly the same. We're getting clones. And again, of course, now we have 4 cells. Those 4 cells become 8. 8 cells become 16. And so on and so forth. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, etc., etc. Bacteria keep building and building and building, each time making a perfect genetic clone of themselves. Now, if this got inside you, it'd make you very ill. But luckily, we have a very powerful weapon against bacteria like this called antibiotics. So, let's say we apply an antibiotic to our bacteria. What would happen? Well, let's have a look. Okay, as you can see, they've all gone, the antibiotics have worked. So we need to see how genetic mutations cause evolution and cause a species to evolve. So in order to do this, we need to bring our original cell back. Now, when we do this, we're going to run it through again. 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16. The more eagle-eyed of you will notice that this time there is going to be a slight difference. See if you can see it. Okay, well spotted. As you can see, this time they are all genetically identical except for this one bit here. Here we have a genetic mutation. It is different to all the other genes, an accidental mutation. Now, as we said, genes control characteristics, so what does our new gene code for? What characteristic does it give this bacteria? Well, in order to find out, I think we should apply our antibiotic again. So let's see what happens when we apply our antibiotic. Okay, as you can see, we applied our antibiotic and they all died except this one, which means that this gene has given this bacteria resistance to antibiotics. All the other ones were killed. This one survives. It's got an advantage over the other bacteria. Now, we all know what happens now. This cell will clone itself. 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, and 8 to 16. Now, let's see what that looks like. So, as you can see, now every single cell has the mutated gene. So, even if we did apply our antibiotics to these bacterial cells, they wouldn't die. This has become an antibiotic-resistant species. A brand new species has evolved through one simple genetic mutation. Look at the world around you. It's full of these mutations. It's full of these adaptations that help a species survive. From the length of an anteater's nose to your opposable thumbs, and more importantly, your inquiring mind. I hope this has helped.